Hello everybody, I'm Ramsis.
And I'm TheVespor.
And we're here for another edition of Back in Time, episode number 25, where we take a look at something from the past that we still enjoy to this day. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and of course,
ring that bell
so we can bring you many more like these in the future. Today's subject is going to be Transformers commercials. Part 2. No, that's Generation 2. That's right.
We decided that we're loving the Transformers so much, so let's take a look at Generation 2 commercials. Now, these are a lot different than the original commercials that aired back in the 80s. These were done primarily in the 90s, and they had a completely different take to them than the original ones. No longer are the kids suddenly transforming into Transformers. We're going to replace all that with CGI.
That's right. In 1992, they tried to revamp the Transformers toy line. It ended in 1989, so there's a few years in between. They're like, all right, enough time's passed. 3 years passed. Let's bring back Transformers. We're like, what? Lasted 3 years, which is not a long time for a toy line. Let's see what happened after Generation 1 ended, and we went into the infamous generation known as Generation 2. And all I can say is before we start this, it's the 90s, so keep that in mind as you're watching these commercials.
Oh, speaking of the 90s, I've chosen a very special one showing Optimus Prime. And when you see this, you're going to know that you're in the 90s.
Toy was out in 94, so we're heading to the end of the generation already, but there's a reason. We want to get you right into the feel of what they were doing in these commercials. That's right, it's Combat, Hero, Optimus Prime, and Megatron. This is their alternate versions. Here we go.
Battle tank!
Battle this.
It's heavy metal cruncher time as Optimus Prime goes toe-to-toe with Combat Megatron. Prime is one tough dude underneath his hood. He's a Transformer missile fire phenomenon. Combat Megatron is combat armed. His mighty mega missiles are slamming. He can metamorph and use mega force, but Combat Optimus is still standing.
All right, Optimus!
Over here.
Transformers Generation 2, Combat Optimus Prime and Combat Megatron each sold separately.
Sorry, so we have 1994 era CGI with rapping going on in the background. Hey, you gotta like it. With these great sets again. Again, these toy sets that no kid in the world can own. Explodable walls and huge lawns falling down behind the characters. This is great.
Well, the thing is if you look at these, the freaking CGI is just awful. But this is the early 90s, so don't expect too much from them. I remember all these G1 commercials actually being animated, and they are like, nope. Let's throw a kid in, have him about get killed by Megatron and Optimus fighting, and then let's show how cheap our toys are by adding gimmicks to them.
With plungers and the tacky stickers. Megatron rules. Wow, how gaudy and egotistical do you have to be and wearing an I rule sign on your chest? Fighting a oil tanker? Is that what Optimus is becoming?
I don't know. He's like a mobile missile battery here. I don't know. But that being said, this is where you can see how cheaply the toys are made as compared to the 80s. These things look like they're going to fall apart, but then again, the toys that we grew up with, you could kill somebody with them because they were die-cast.
These are desirable. Why? Because these are like new versions of Optimus Prime and Megatron. They finally modernized Optimus Prime, and it's kind of a cool toy. They kept his robot form, except with the multicolored legs. That's a little weird, but they gave him a new truck look and a gigantic missile yeah, there's nothing that can go wrong with that, with him carrying around a missile on his back all day long.
I love the old ones, and I love the style of the old ones. Yes, this does keep pretty close to them, but Megatron doesn't look anything like what it used to be. Yes, he was a gun, but it's not the same as compared to what was before. And I do believe there are some actually better models in the G2 series for toys. But that being said, when you look at these look like these were made to the lowest bidder and like they'll fall apart in 2 seconds. The commercial was definitely fun. It was entertaining, but the problem is that cheap toys are still cheap toys, even if they are clever and actually have Peter Cullen actually voicing Optimus for this.
That gets you into the feel of what Generation 2 is. Now, let's show how they originally were advertising the toys. We're going to start with the classic 1985 characters, and they are remolded, they're recolored, they are the exact same toys. It's the Constructicons versus the Dinobots, and the Constructicons are going to look like never before. Yellow.
Transformers! It's the evil Constructicons, Decepticon vehicles built to destroy planet Earth. More than meets the eye, they're robots in disguise. And the Constructicons combine to form the dreaded Devastator for really big destruction. But the Constructicons unearth big trouble, the heroic Dinobots, Snarl, Slag, and Grimlock. These massive monsters transform into mighty robots. They'll blast those Decepticons into extinction.
Transformers! Robots in disguise.
Transformers Generation 2, Dinobots and Constructicons each sold separately.
You know what? you can recognize these toys. These are like what you remember from the early 80s. These are the toys we grew up with. They look like them. Or do they, Ramses?
Well, the commercial's a little misleading because, yes, the yellow is true. The Constructicon became yellow, but that's all right. And you know why that's all right? Because construction vehicles actually were yellow. That's not a misnomer. That is true. But then they also had an orange version also. And the Dinobots didn't get away from their miscoloring because this is Generation 2. We gotta have flashy, weird colors. So the Dinobots had alternate colors. They had a green, red, and blue Grimlock, and they had like a green version of Slag and a red version of... So they didn't get away from the colors either.
But at least here in the middle of it, they're keeping to the original toys because that is definitely Grimlock. Those are definitely the Constructicons. This is a nostalgia channel. That's why I'm judging this by. And you know what? At least they're keeping to the same models. As you've seen with the previous commercial, 94, all bets were off. They're going to change these things so drastically you don't even recognize it.
It's fun. It's in your face. It's the 90s.
Well, to be fair, the Dinobots didn't exactly fit in. They were freaking robot dinosaurs.
So now we'll talk about the commercial. And this commercial is better than the ones that we'd use later. Why? They mixed the TV animation with the toys playing animation. I think that's cool because a lot of that was missing from some of the other ads. We have, wow, look what the figures can do, and the Dinobots are beating up the Constructicons in both versions.
Which is true to the actual series.
And it has that little notice that you might want to take note of, Vespor, and I'm actually very happy because this is a complaint me and you have been having in all these toy commercials we are doing. What does it say on the bottom right there?
City not available for purchase.
All right, well, finally, they're spelling it out. None of these other commercials have made that clear.
That being said, this commercial was well done. I liked its format, and it was very reminiscent of the first series.
We're going to move on to the next one, I think. I think that says it all. Constructicons vs. Dinobots. What a great idea.
Now it's time to show the beginning.
And what they do, they release in his almost original colors. The cab was, but the trailer was a little different, and they added some other features to it. So from 1992, we had the beginning of the series. Optimus is back. Or is he?
From across the galaxy to battle the evil Decepticons comes the ultimate Autobot hero, Optimus Prime. Transforming from big rig into powerful robot, he's the greatest Autobot warrior of them all. With a hidden battle platform, twin rocket launchers for double the damage, and a light and sound power pack for real battle action. And when Optimus talks, the Decepticons will run for cover. Transformers Generation 2. Optimus Prime is all you see here.
All right, so yes, we had the first time we saw Optimus is back, and they used mostly the animation they used in the TV show. And again, I'm going to state that a lot. Cheap to do, but that's how they did it. And this commercial also has Starscream in it, and Starscream looks pretty close to his original colors too, so I'll give him that. And it has Optimus Prime gorilla pressing Devastator. Well, there you go. So we got a little of everything, but that's not the big sell of this commercial.
Well, the big gimmick is the fact that it has an electronic voice for him. He also now has 2 cannons. His trailer is now black instead of gray, and emblazoned on the sides it says Optimus Prime.
So much for robots in disguise.
If you can drive and you're watching this, which I imagine most of you can, you don't see many black trailers going down the highways and byways of America. And not only that, it says Optimus Prime on the side of it with the Autobot symbol. Plus, he's also packing 2 more guns on the outside of it.
Are those machine guns with missiles attached to it? Generation 2, this time it's deadly, and he's gonna make sure you know who it was because his name is on that trailer as he fires it.
Well, let's be honest. He learned from the movie. 1 handgun killed him, and Optimus is like, never again will I be outgunned.
So what's that black thing attached to the front of his trailer? Oh, so that's like a new piece here.
That's the voice modulator.
Oh, so let's see. What do the 3 buttons do? One says, which sounds nothing like Peter Cullen.
Then you have a laser blasting sound. He has missiles. He has rotary missile
So
cannons.
where are those lasers coming from?
And then the last sound is, of course, for his vehicle mode. So you hear the vroom of a motor.
And that's the only 3 sounds you get on this, so I hope you'll like it.
Well, you see, like I said, they're trying way too hard. They're making it too commercial, I hate to say. The other ones were simple. They were plastic and metal. Kill your friends with them if they didn't like your figures. It made us think we were the characters after we woke up from the concussion.
It's the Optimus Prime toy, so I don't think this is the worst thing in the world. If I saw this in the store, I'd be like, wow, they re-released Optimus Prime, I gotta get it. So it is cool, but too gimmicky. That's the problem with Generation 2. It's gaudy, it's gimmicky, flashy, it's in your face, it's 90s. I want it, yes, but is it cooler than Generation 1? Absolutely not. So yeah, that is the original commercial that started Generation 2 pretty much, where they reintroduced Optimus Prime back to all of us, and I think that says it all. Alright, so in 1994, they were still trying to bring back old favorites from 1985, and I do say 1985, 1984, because a lot of the Combiner figures became a very big focus of the Generation 2 line. Aerial bots versus Combaticons, that's an interesting mix here, and if you ever like neon colors and wacky looks to your figures, boy, have I got the repaints for you. 1994 to Aerial bots and Combaticons. Here we go.
Jet formation!
Jet transformation.
The aerial bots are taking their shots. Some of both plastic Combaticons. They can all change and be rearranged to form a super robot Superion. The Combaticons are warring, Onslaught is roaring. Here's one metamorph in Bruticus. They all combine and kick Superions behind as the big bad battle in Bruticus.
That was brutal!
No, that's Bruticus. Transformers Generation 2 Aerial Bots and Combaticons, each sold separately.
Wow, talk about tacky and gaudy. I'm sorry I even said anything. Yes, the Constructicons got off easy with just yellow and orange. How about neon colored camouflage for the Combaticons?
Well, you know what? These were based off the original mode still, but the color combinations they chose for them just made them stand out so much more horribly.
This looks like fake knockoffs, and I hate to say that because these are authentic. This is like something you would buy at a flea market where they had a fake name of like the Transbots or something instead of Transformers. But no, this is really the colors they decided to go with. Neon blues, gold, red, dark blues, purples, greens, and yellows all mixed together. Onslaught has stickers that say his name on him. Hi everybody, I'm Onslaught, just in case you didn't know who I was.
Well, here's the thing that didn't date well. One of the aerial bots is a Concorde. I also like in the commercial he actually starts out as white and changes into blue.
I love how the kid is just standing there watching two giant combiner robots battling in front of his house. Like, hey, they're having a fight here. Gee, I hope the Autobots win, or otherwise I'm in a lot of trouble here. It's another one of those rapping 90s Transformers commercials, because 94, we were heavy into it. Don't forget, we had all those late 80s, early 90s movies that had rapping all over the place. Well, commercials were doing that too in 94. And 94 is a little late to be getting into it. It was almost ending around that time. But yes, Hasbro thought they were so hip and cool with the rapping Transformers commercials.
You know what? This is how you know that you're at the end of the G2 series of commercials. When you start hearing rap, you know it's 94.
Well, with that out of the way, those are the combiners. Cool in that they're remolded G1, but not cool for any other reason. And let's move on to the next one. So we're going to show you that Megatron was also re-released as a G2 figure, but we're not allowed to have guns on the market anymore. By 1992, guns as toys were illegal because of health and safety and all that stuff, and people pretending to use them as weapons. So they had to come up with, gee, what are we going to turn Megatron into? Well, as you can see the picture here, they turned him into a neon green camouflage oversized tank with lots of gaudy stickers on it. Yeah, that's Megatron, all right?
I will honestly say, though, that they probably should have made Megatron a tank to begin with, because that's much more intimidating than a Walter PP7.
1993, we have Megatron in his brand new neon green camouflage tank version. Let's see how it looks.
From planet Cybertron comes Optimus Prime's greatest challenge. Megatron, the evil Decepticon leader, crushes Prime with power sound treads. Transforming from battle tank to deadly robot with power arm lasers and lock and load super sound cannon. Megatron can blast Prime into spare parts. Listen to the voice of doom. Transformers Generation 2. Megatron is all you see here. Optimus Prime sold separately.
Ah, yes. Optimus Prime sold separately. Gotta inform them that you have to buy both if you want the epic battle.
I'm going to be fair to Megatron. I like it. I really do. I like it. They have Megatron's head on there, which is cool.
If they went heavy into the sound effects, all this other stuff, we gotta shoot everything so we can lose all the missiles. Here's the big problem with that. When they did it, they didn't do too good of a job on the size and scale of this, because if you remember G1, they were about the same size, and that made it a much more interesting fight. If you look at it like this, Megatron should never, ever, ever lose to Optimus, and the Autobots should always be running in fear, because Megatron's just a bigger, better, stronger leader.
He was invincible even in the original cartoon, and now he's even much more so in this G2 iteration. And sadly, we never got a cartoon. There was a comic book, but it was only lasted 12. It wasn't that good with Megatron in it, because they were working together the whole time. There really was no war. But if they actually did a cartoon version of G2, I think Megatron would have been even worse than he was in the original. It would have been cool, actually. So much more intimidating with big stick written on the nozzle of his tank.
Oh my gosh, they went there?
Yeah.
They're saying that Megatron has a bigger stick than Optimus?
That's what they're claiming here. And you load this thing with the missiles and it makes sound effects. I mean, this thing, it's cool, but it's like, wow. Sound effect, they have Megatron saying, Megatron attacks. The whole thing's a little strange.
But the thing is that, to me, this is a great toy. I think this is actually better than the G2 Optimus. Even though the G2 Optimus, as I said, I love the original designs. This one's the best. It's a big toy. It's easy to transform. And you feel like you're playing with something massive. You're feeling like you're playing with a Transformer with this.
Yeah, very cool. And again, it was in that weird stylized packaging similar to Optimus Prime. But I think Megatron, when you saw that on the shelf, you're like, hey, that's Megatron? Suddenly you're like, yeah, that's kind of cool. I think Megatron would have gotten a little more attention than the Optimus toy if you didn't have it. This toy you can play with on the battlefield. It's kind of cool. Finally, Megatron gets some respect here, you know? The gimmicks and the stickers suck, but everything else is cool about it. So yeah, let us know your memories of the Megatron G2 toy, because I'm sure a lot of you have memories of that being your first Megatron experience.
And did you use the stupid sound effects thing? Because I remember getting those with some of my toys, and I didn't like them because I would accidentally hit them when I was playing with them.
Right, your button would hit and then you hear like a boom or someone say something, you're like, huh? Yeah, it made it awkward. But yep, that was Megatron. Let's move on to the next one. We've already shown you some interesting gimmicks. Well, how about the color changing gimmicks? Because
oh no, not those. They did them back in the 80s as well.
Yes, that's right. If you don't know who you're fighting an automatic Decepticon, don't worry. The kids have a solution to that. Color changing Transformers Generation 2. Here we go.
From planet Cybertron come mysterious new color change Transformers, but are they friend or foe?
Only one way to find out. Decepticon!
It's color change Jetstorm, Drench, Deluge, and GoBots. Transform them from rad roadsters to awesome robots. Arm them with pump-action aqua blasters. Blast them with hot water to find out whose side they're on.
Show your true colors, Deluge! Decepticon!
Transformers Generation 2. Color change cars each sold separately.
Oh boy! GoBots are best robots? What was that?
Did they say GoBots? Let me listen to that again.
Drench, Deluge, and GoBots.
Well, there you go. It's happened. GoBots are now part of the Transformers toy line. Boy, the world must have fallen apart. We must be living in Bizarro World. A character's named GoBots in the color change toy line.
You know else I can't believe? Look how cheap these toys are made. This is like a real step down in the quality of your toy. These look like I could touch them and they would fall apart.
Not the best, but the gimmick is the plastic is made out of that weird color changing thing. So if you put hot water and it'll change the dark color to light and then the logo will show up. Very silly gimmick, because how would this play out? So I'm battling, I don't know if you're automatic Decepticon, I better spray you. Oh, you were bad all along. I guess that's a good thing. I've been firing at you for hours here. That's their whole weapon, is water blasters here, by the way.
And I also want to point out the fact that this is still Transformers. They're still on Earth and there's still a finite amount of them. Each robot was, oh, I know who you are, I know who you are.
Yeah, they don't look different. It's not like they're all looking similar. They all have unique, different, very specific colors and looks. You know very well who these characters are.
Yep, and the best part is they're not shooting weapons at each other, they're shooting water at each other.
Maybe you're supposed to pretend, because the commercial shows them firing explosive weapons, but then when they go to the toys, they're firing water. So maybe we're supposed to pretend it's like lasers they're firing at each other or something.
Laser water. It's from the 90s. It's done with the cheap CGI, but it gets the point across. It's a fun little commercial. As an adult, I wouldn't buy my kids anything look like it's going to fall apart with like a touch.
These are such basic no-frills figures. Without the water gimmick, they are not even worthy of having a collection. That's how forgettable.
Well, and don't forget, you also don't want to spray your other vehicles with the water as well, because what's the point?
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, that's the color changing. We just wanted to show you guys that, yes, even this toy line had that gimmick.
But that being said, let's not focus on these color changing
thingies.
Let's focus on our next commercial, which is the Cyberjets. I bet you never heard of them.
Cyberjets. Oh, that's interesting. That was toward the end of the line, wasn't it?
I had never even heard of them before we looked at this commercial.
Yeah, so this is going to be a shorty, because this is getting towards the end of the line now. 1995, pretty much G2 was on its last legs here. The series was not doing well, and they were no longer using repurposed G1 figures. They were coming with all new original molds, and they sucked. And this is part of the ones that suck. The Cyberjets, and before you say boo hiss to me, you love Cyberjets, I'm just saying it wasn't the same quality of the original G1 molds. These were all brand new. They were made cheaper on purpose. They were very gimmicky, as we mentioned. This was the end of the toy line. Let's see what they came out with. 1995, Cyberjets, Generation 2.
The battle takes to the sky with Cyberjets, high-flying Autobots versus combat-ready Decepticons. Cyberjets are loaded with firepower and ready to transform.
Robots in disguise. Transformers!
Cyberjets, each sold separately.
The thing I'll say about these is they're very posable. They're almost G.I. Joe figure-like, but the better versions where you can actually move all the joints and stuff. So these aren't terrible. It's just, it's a shame it's such a simplistic figure and version. They're very small sized, but when they're in the vehicle mode, they look all right as long as you don't turn them over and see the robots just hanging out on the bottom of it. Not bad, but these are very cheap and flimsy, and they're just simple, like, here you go, here's a Transformer.
Overall, the commercial gets straight to the point. I mean, these look like actual jets, and they look like they're pretty cool, except for the fact is, like Ramsey said, you flip them over and it's like, oh look, they're all bound up and
they're just hanging out there with their back being a jet top is all there is to the toy. We get it. It's a cheap, quick toy. It was fun, whatever. At least they went back to just the regular Transformers jingle. No more of the rap stuff. In here, they didn't care anymore. It was just robots in disguise. We're going to use the old from the previous Generation 2 commercials. Here it is, whatever. I don't know how successful these toys are. This is something I didn't buy. I did not buy any of the Cyberjets. I was definitely out of the line by this time because I lost full interest in it. They're not great either. You can see why this toy line is not going to last much longer. If this is the best offerings they're going to give you now, well, I think you might as well close up shop, and they did. There wasn't any more Transformer Generation 2 for much longer after this stuff.
Well, the nice thing is that you can see this is actually a much better quality than those stupid color changing ones. They look solid. They look good. They don't look cheap, but they're able to get away with it because it's like a quarter of the size of another Transformer.
We like to show you the beginning and the end of toy lines. Now, there was some other stuff that happened after this. This was not the end, but as far as where the toy line was going, this is a very good example. It's going to go in these small, cheap little whatevers, and it's going to be even a very short commercial. Hey, if you want it, here you go, and that's it. So that's where the line was pretty much going here at this time. Let's go back to 1993, where we have some old favorites on both sides. We're going to have some Decepticon jets going against Autobot cars. Now, that you can't complain about. That was the original idea of Transformers. They were trying to reignite that spark again. Before it became the jets things we just saw, this is what they originally had in mind with this toy line. That's why we're going back here. But 1993, let's see the Autobot cars taking out the Decepticon jets and be ready for some more of that CGI goodness that was found in the cartoon based around.
Transformers!
It's the evil Decepticons, powerful jets that transform into dangerous Decepticon robots, Ramjet and Starscream, with missile launchers and light and sound power packs. But first, they'll have to battle the heroic Autobots, Inferno, Jazz, and Sideswipe. They're
Robots in disguise.
Jazz strikes back with a robot-ripping rocket launcher, and Inferno's water cannon is raining pain.
Transformers!
Transformers Generation 2, Autobot cars and Decepticon jets each sold separately.
Ah, gimmicks, gimmicks, gimmicks. So many freaking gimmicks. We have yet another one that shoots water. We have more missiles. We have sound effects. And let's have another gimmick. Let's turn our red Lamborghini into a black Lamborghini. Not only that, let's use 3 of the more kind of meh Autobots. At the beginning of season 1, it was all about Jazz, but then he just disappeared.
So they picked Inferno, Jazz, and Sideswipe. I'm like, all right, Sideswipe I get. He was a Lamborghini, that's kind of cool, but they painted him black. So he went from red, which is really sporty and cool, to a black sports car.
That's because Inferno's red. I can see the logic here with them. We can't release 2 red toys. We have to have 1 red and 1 black.
Right, I guess color coordination in Transformer Generation 2, very important. And then we have Jazz has a gigantic missile, so he's doing the Cliff Jumper impression. Remember when Cliff Jumper fired that giant rocket? So I guess Jazz felt left out. He's like, hey, you just rebuilt me. I'm going to put this thing on the top of my back and drive around with it. I'm like, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And then Inferno, who nobody was asking for. I don't remember anyone saying, gee, I want the fire truck toy as my first toy for the Generation 2. I'm like, why? He has such better characters. Why are we putting Inferno in this line? I don't hate Inferno, but again, it was because of the gimmick. You had a water firing hose that attached to his ladders. Like gimmicks, gimmicks, gimmicks. That's all the Hasbro heads were thinking of in the early 90s when they were coming up with this toy line.
This is still early enough in the G2 series where the toys don't look like they're going to fall apart with a single touch. I mean, they're using the same molds, and these are the same toys except for some slight modifications with Jazz having a giant cannon stuck to the roof of his car.
And Sideswipe having stickers with his name on it because for some reason, Transformers in the 90s want to advertise who they are. Hey, I'm not getting enough recognition. I'm going to have some gaudy stickers that say exactly who I am so everybody knows that I am Sideswipe and I am now a black Lamborghini with a gigantic rocket attached to my back.
Well, and they also saw you sonic weapons apparently with the Decepticons, because now not longer do you have an F-15. You now have an F-15 with a sound module located on its back, so you can go vroom vroom and shoot and stuff like that.
Yes, very important stuff. It's cool again that they really released the jet Ramjets, but they messed up again too, because Ramjet was a Season 2 character. Where's Thundercracker? Where's Skywarp? Why do we have Ramjet in Skywarp's colors, pretty much, I guess is what I'm asking.
I don't know, but don't forget, this is the 90s. Screw logic, all colors.
Now, these toys are cool because they were the better quality, like Vespor said. So in the first year of Generation 2, they tried. They were doing the right things. They were making the toys. They were gaudy, but it was the 90s. You have to remember, 90s was a different time. It was not the 80s anymore. But the toys themselves were still the same quality. So that I will give them credit for. And these are sort of desirable. I have this Sideswipe figure, the black Sideswipe that I was just making fun of. Because, hey, it was Sideswipe. I never had a Sideswipe. I wanted it. That was the whole reason I bought the figure. No other reason.
It's definitely one of the better commercials because it's highlighting all these being used and played with. And that's what you want to see as a kid. You want to be enticed. You want to see how you can play with these things.
Let's end it with one more commercial. I think now you got the idea what the Generation 2 toy line was all about. But let's go out with a bang. Something different, something fun.
Me and Ramses both came up once, so this is going to be a surprise for y'all because we always like to have our last video to be a surprise. Now, if you remember from back in G1, there is these little things called triple changers. So, folks, do you recognize this triple changer?
Yeah, this was not a G1 figure, folks. This was specifically made with a G2 toy line in mind. It's a 1994 figure, or at least commercial. And this is where they were going to really try to make the toy line popular. We're going to give toys like this. And again, spoiler alert, it didn't work. And let's see what they came up with here. It should be fun.
Run, it's Dreadwing!
And Dreadwing's twice as deadly.
Dreadwing is punishing, his Gatling gun is killing. The Decepticon bomber's a transformer-rama, a 3-in-1 villain that's chilling. Combat tank and sonic jet transform into double trouble robots. The missiles go boom, smelling certain doom as they take apart the awesome Autobots.
Autobots, how?
No one can save you from triple changing Dreadwing.
Transformers Generation 2. Dreadwing is all you see here. Other figures sold separately.
All right, so first we start off with a very graphic commercial where Dreadwing is destroying a whole city as a kid's running for his life. Then we take it to our bedroom where, again, they're destroying that same toy set they've used in every commercial with the blocks and the cylinders and the huge field going from one side of the room to the other. And then they show off that it's 3-in-1 with 2 figures that form together, and all the Autobots pretty much get destroyed by just Dreadwing and Smokescreen themselves.
Well, yes, and there are 3 transformations. The big robot has 2, and the small one has 1. So there you go. It's a new type of triple changer, I guess.
Now, this is very desirable because this is one of those figures that sort of went under the radar. People didn't realize this thing existed. G2 was not a success, so people were already losing interest in it. And then you release a toy like this because you were going to expand the toy line. Well, no, it didn't work, and people didn't buy this. So this is a very highly sought after figure because it's cool. Something was not right with this toy line, that they just couldn't get the message across of what they're trying to sell here.
Well, I know why it was. The cartoon was just a rehash of a syndicated cartoon. So they're like, oh, we're just going to redo it. It was not put out there with the same kind of force and love and marketing. Yes, you have commercials here, which made it, but the reason that people buy toys is because of the cartoons. And these aren't in the cartoons.
They should have rehashed the series with Generation 2, done this CGI stuff. It would have worked. They did it with Beast Wars 3 years later, so you know it would have worked if they did it here too. But that's why this toy line failed. You had nothing backing it. You had a comic book that very few people were reading, and you had commercials that were sort of catering to people, but it was catering to a different group. You're no longer catering to the same kids anymore. So you had to resell yourself to a brand new audience. And a toy like this would have been cool if you had a cartoon series for this to be highlighted in. This could have been a real great adversary. Imagine having to face him all the time in the cartoon. That would have been so epic and cool. Oh no, it's Dreadwing. What are we gonna do? You know, that would have been great. Too bad it just didn't work. The toy line just was doomed to fail. It's very sad.
The best thing about this commercial is, of all of the commercials we've seen so far, this is definitely the most interesting one, with all the battle scenes, with the CGI and with the toys. And at the end of it, this is the greatest thing ever, where they both grab an Autobot, turn around, slam them, and hit them so hard they explode and kill the kid. This is awesome.
Because it's the 90s. The 90s, we were not afraid to go there. And that's why everyone loves the 90s so much. It even had the rap song.
Oh, I definitely would have bought this toy, even if it was a Decepticon, because this is such a cool concept.
Yeah, it really is. And that's how we're going to end it. Generation 2 is one of those lost toy lines that didn't get much love, didn't get much time, and this is the reason why. It had some hits and some misses, some rehashes, some ideas that just didn't work.
And as you've seen, most of these toys, except for the originals, were not in the cartoon, so there was no connection to them.
That was Generation 2. Let us know what your thoughts of Transformers Generation 2 were. Was that your first line? Did you get back into it when they brought it back? Did you even know there was a Generation 2? Let us know.
With that being said, please remember to like, comment, subscribe, and
Ring that bell, and we'll see you all next time on another edition of Back in Time. That's right, because we will definitely be visiting more Transformers stuff here. Back in Time. You want it, you got it. We love it too, and if we love it, we know you guys too.
yeah, it's strange. It seems we do nothing but like A-Team, Transformers, video games, and wrestling.
Well, isn't that what everybody likes, Vespor? Isn't that what we're here for? Aren't we Vesper's Retro Reviews? Aren't